want this to happen to you? I got hit 6 times with a 4-5, boy. You won't think you tough? This is what happened to tough.
This is Scared Straight. It was a government program that received billions of dollars of funding and was made into an award-winning documentary.
And the winner is Scared Straight.
The idea was to take kids who committed crimes, show them life inside jail, and scare them onto the straight and narrow. The only problem? It made kids more likely to commit crimes. This was shown by 3 meta-analyses. One study even estimated that every $1 spent on the program caused $200 of harm to society. Now, it turns out that the kids who went through the program did indeed commit fewer crimes afterwards. So everyone involved thought the program was working. But similar kids who didn't go through the program committed even fewer. So the overall effect was to make crime more likely. Hi, I'm Ben from 80,000 Hours. That's our book. And we do research to help people find satisfying careers with positive social impact. One of the questions we're most interested in is the question of what problems to work on. Should we try to reduce juvenile crime or climate change, improve health or education? If lots of approaches to solving these problems just don't work, like Scared Straight, then it could be easy to end up working on an area where we just don't have much impact. So we teamed up with some academics at Oxford and used research by a billion-dollar foundation to come up with an approach you can use to compare different problems you might work on and decide which are highest impact. We came up with 3 key questions to ask yourself, and this video is just a quick summary. First question, is the problem big in scale? The BBC, for instance, forgot to ask themselves this question when they took on this problem. How can we keep Britain's lights on? Unplug your mobile phone charger when it's not in use. People recommend lots of ways to save energy like this, so a Cambridge physics professor, David Mackay, decided to put the problem of phone chargers to the test.
My name's David Mackay. I'm a physicist. I started measuring everything. First, I plugged in a phone charger, and it didn't even register on this power meter.
And then another. And then another, and then another, and then another. Finally, a reading of 0.1 watts. From this, he worked out that if no mobile phone chargers were ever left plugged in ever again, it would save at most 0.01% of Britain's personal energy use. Mackay said it was like trying to bail out the Titanic with a tea strainer. Rather than just promote what intuitively seemed important, if the BBC had done just a basic analysis of the scale of the phone charger problem, they would have realised it just doesn't really matter. Instead, they could have focused on many far more pressing issues, like lack of home insulation. Home insulation cuts personal energy use by about 10%, making it, as an issue, 1,000 times bigger in scale. So the first question to ask yourself is the problem big in scale? And you're probably going to need numbers to help you compare your options, even if they're rough. You can break the question down by asking, if this problem was solved, how many people would be helped? How much would they be helped by? And what would the long-term benefits of solving the problem be? Second question, is the problem neglected? When I was younger, I was most interested in climate change.
We are systematically destroying our land, our streams, and our seas.
Here's a picture of me at a rally. Now, I only ended up getting involved with climate change because lots of people were talking about it, and I found it interesting. And on the scale of things, it is a pretty big issue. But I didn't even consider other big challenges that might be even more neglected.
I rate the chance of a widespread epidemic far worse than Ebola in my lifetime is well over 50%.
When we looked into it, it seemed like pandemics could be a risk on a similar scale to climate change, but they receive under 10% as much funding and far less attention. This really matters due to what economics calls diminishing returns. All else equal, the more people working on a problem, the more the best opportunities will get taken anyway, and the harder it will be for you to make an impact. This actually means that the areas that are popular, those that you might naturally stumble across, are often going to be the lower impact ones. Instead, ask yourself, is the problem neglected? Is it being unfairly overlooked because, say, it affects the world's poorest people? Or it's a low probability event, like a pandemic? Or just few people know about it? Because of this, it may well be that the world's highest impact problem is something you've never even considered working on. Third question, is the problem solvable?
There wouldn't have been a film without the fine work that they are doing in an attempt, and I might add an effective attempt.
It turns out that Scared Straight is not unusual. David Anderson, an expert in evidence-based policy, estimated that of social programs that have been rigorously evaluated, perhaps 75% or more turn out to produce small or no effects, and in some cases negative effects. This actually means that if you pick a social program to work on without looking at the evidence behind it, then there's a good chance of just having very little impact. Instead, ask yourself, is the problem solvable? Is there an approach to fixing it with rigorous evidence behind it, like how lots of studies show malaria nets prevent malaria? Or maybe you can test out a new but promising approach that might be even more effective. Or maybe you know an approach to solving the problem that has a small chance of working, but if it did, would have a massive impact, like research into a key question or a political campaign. However, if the answer to all of these three questions is no, then it's probably better to find another problem to work on. So that's it. These three questions will help you choose between the problems you encounter and avoid working on something ineffective. You can think of them, scale, neglectedness, and solvability, as 3 dimensions on a graph. You probably won't find opportunities that score brilliantly on all 3, rather look for what does best overall. A problem that's really big and neglected could be worth tackling even if it seems hard to solve. One more thing. There's no point working on a problem in a role that you'll find boring or be bad at. So you also need to consider your chances of success in the area, what we call your personal fit. And it's where your interest in the area comes back in. We cover it and other important factors elsewhere in the Career Guide. So, what are the world's most urgent problems? What are the biggest issues that no one is talking about and possible to solve? Continue on to find out some of our answers, why ending diarrhea might save as many lives as world peace, how artificial intelligence might be even more important, and what you can do with your own career to help make the most urgent changes happen.